Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about adding integers. Our content objective is students will be able to find the additive inverse of integers as well as find the sum of integers with symbols and number lines. Our language objective is students will be able to describe verbally how to add integers in several ways. Why am I learning this? Well, it's important for many real-world problems like tracking your Why am I learning this? Well, it's important for many real-world problems like tracking your daily calorie count. So first, let's go over some background knowledge. Please remember additive inverses are basically two numbers with a sum of 0. So opposite numbers are additive inverses. Well, -3 and 3, 17 and -17, -324 and 324. These are all additive inverses. Why? Because if I add up these two numbers together, they will give me a sum of 0. So here, let's take a look at some examples, some context, a picture, what the net result is in words, and how many points or pairs. So here, a hydrogen atom has 1 proton and 1 electron. So real quick, a proton is something with a positive charge, okay, and So in a hydrogen atom, the proton is the positive charge, the electron is the negative charge. So the atom has a neutral charge. Why? Because a positive and negative, they cancel each other out, giving you 0, which is neutral. So how many 0 pairs was that? 1. You can even physically see this is the 0 pair, positive and a negative. Number 2, I took 4 steps forward, which you can kind of see here, and then it says and 3 steps back, so you see here. Well, if you took 4 steps forward but 3 steps back, it's the same as saying you took 1 step forward, right? So 1 step ahead of where you started. Now, how many 0 pairs were there? Let's count. You can count this as 1, 2, and 3. And how? Well, you can imagine it as when you stepped forward, that was positive, and when you stepped back, that was negative. So here, I imagine it to be here a positive, a positive, a positive, a negative, a negative, a negative. Positives and negatives cancel each other out, making that 0 pair. So I have a total of 3. Now this is important because you will be asked to do this in your homework. You're going to be asked how many 0 pairs there are. So it's important that you do know what those are. Here it says, I got a check in the mail for $1 million. So that's going to definitely be a positive $1 million, right? Because that's something that you got. I wish I got $1 million. Okay, then the next it says, but then I got a bill that says I owe $1 million. So that, guess what? Because it's a bill and you owe it, that's going to be a negative 1 million. Okay, so what is the net result in words? Well, guess what? Since you got $1 million, but you ended up owing $1 million, you have nothing now, right? You spent it. You have no money at all. You had $1 million, but you had to pay your debt of $1 million, so you have nothing. But how many 0 pairs was that? Well, I'm not going to draw them out for you because this is a lot, but there was 1 million 0 pairs. So there was 1 million positive, so that's you having the money, but there was 1 million negatives of you owing money, so there's a total of 1 million 0 pairs. So it says I ate 1 candy bar with 200 calories. Then I ate 4 apples with 50 calories each. So I'm just going to quickly show you an image. There's going to be 1 candy bar and then our 4 apples here. Well, what's the net result in words? Well, you just ate a lot of calories without working out or anything. You didn't burn anything. So I'm going to say my net result is you eating a total of 200. Each of these are 50. So there's 100 there, 100 there. So you basically ate a total of 400 calories. So how many 0 pairs were there? Well, since all of this was you consuming the calories, it was positive. There were no negatives. So I would say there are 0 pairs. Number 5, Joe found 4 quarters, but he had a hole in his pocket and lost 1 quarter. So here he had 4 quarters, but he lost 1. So what does he end up with? Well, he only has 3 quarters, right? That's what he gained. Now, how many 0 pairs were there? Well, there was only 1. Why, you might ask? Well, here, imagine if you lost a quarter, that's a negative, right? And here's all of these are positive because you gained a quarter. How many zero pairs were there? Well, there's only one zero pair. Positive and negative make a zero, so there was only one. Okay, moving on. Lisa earned $8, then spent $6. So what does that make you think of? Well, to me, if you earn $8, that's positive. But if you spent, that's negative. So we have positive 8, negative 6. So what's the result? Well, you only end up technically having gained $2. Now, how many zero pairs was that? Well, there was a total of 6 because there were 6 negatives, 6 positives that were able to turn into 0. So there we have a total of 6 zero pairs. Number 7, George gained 10 pounds, but then went on a diet and lost 12 pounds. So here, if you gain 10 pounds, that's positive 10. If you lost 12 pounds, that's negative 12. So here, you're going to see the net worth is he's basically lost a total of 2 altogether from when he started. But how many zero pairs were there? Well, there was 10. 10 of the positives cancel out 10 of the negatives, so there's a total of 10 zero pairs. Now, last one, number 8. John took out $15 out of his bank account, then deposited 10. So if you take out 15, that's negative, but you deposit 10, that's positive, then you're going to end up with a net of losing a total of 5. So he has $5 less than where he started from. So how many zero pairs were there? Well, there was 10 positives and 10 negatives that we were able to pair up to make 0, so I would say there's a total of 10. Okay, so let's model using some symbols here. This here we have 4 positives and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 negatives. So this basically represents a negative 2. Why, you might ask? Well, let's think. I see some zero pairs, okay? Zero pairs, here are some zero pairs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, from those zero pairs, that basically they mean they equal 0, obviously. And what are we left with? 2 negatives. So that's why our answer is negative 2. So again, you're going to notice how we looked at how many zero pairs there were. There was 1, 2, 3, 4. It's important that you recognize what a zero pair is, because on your homework, you will be asked that question. How many zero pairs are there? Okay, and in fact, you will also be asked to make this model for different problems as well. And I'll show you an example in a moment. So there are 2, you can also compare them. So in this case, you could say, I notice there's 2 more negatives than there are positives. Okay, which makes sense. There was 4 positives, 6 negatives. There were definitely 2 more negatives than the positives. Now, what about this? What does this represent? Well, I see 5 positive signs. That's positive 5, and I see 2 negatives, so that's going to be negative 2. But then I would call this 3. Why? Again, because if you look at the zero pairs, I see 1, 2 zero pairs, and that means these equal 0. So I'm only left with 3 positives, so my answer is 3. So here I would say there's a total of 2 zero pairs, leaving me with just 3 positives. And you can also compare them and say, hey, I noticed there was 3 more positives than there were negatives. Okay, what does this represent? Well, it's 4 positives, 4 negatives. What does this represent? Go ahead and pause the video and figure this one by yourself. Okay, so let's see how we did. Well, first of all, I'm going to recognize there are some zero pairs I'm going to take care of. I see 1, 2, 3, 4. And guess what? There's nothing left. All of these are 0, which this model means it represents 0. There's nothing left. Okay? So here I would claim that there are 4 zero pairs and there's nothing. There's no positive, there's no negative left. So I'm just going to go ahead and say there's 7 zero pairs. And when I compare them, I can say there's an equal amount of positives and negatives. There wasn't more positive, there wasn't any more negatives. They were just equal. So here, what does this represent? Well, all I see are 2 negatives. And I don't see any positives to create zero pairs, so I'm just going to call this negative 2. Why? Because that's all there is. There are no zero pairs, and we're left with negative 2. So here, I can still say there's 2 more negatives than there are positive symbols. So now, number 1, here it says 3 plus negative 6. What are we going to do here? Well, we're going to model it. This means 3 positives, and I know it's a positive because there's no sign here in front telling me it's negative, so I would write 3 positive signs. 1, 2, 3. Now it says I'm going to add 6 negatives, so I'm going to go ahead and literally add to this group 6 negatives. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now from there I went ahead and modeled what this looks like, 3 plus a negative 6. I'm going to realize I see some 0 pairs. I see 1, 2, 3. And note, 0 pairs make 0, hence the name 0 pair. There's a pair that makes 0. Notice I am left with 3 negatives, so I would write my answer as negative 3. Now, you can go back to comparing. You can say, I noticed there's 3 more negatives than there were positive symbols. Okay? But it's important to understand that the sum of the 2 elements of a 0 pair is 0, and you can consider them additive inverses, because remember, positive and negative, their additive inverse is positive 9, negative 9 are additive inverses, so please tie that in. Remember, additive inverses are opposites, one positive, one negative, because the sum does equal 0. So real quick, what I'm going to do is show you what this might look like on your homework. So on your homework, you're going to have something like this. It says negative 1. So I'm going to start with 1 negative. I'm supposed to add 4 negatives. So I'm going to go ahead and add 1, 2, 3, 4. So the question is, what's the sum? I'm going to notice that there are no 0 pairs. So I'm just left with 5 negatives, which I'm going to write as negative 5. Now they're going to ask me, well, how many 0 pairs do we have? I don't see any 0 pairs, so I would say 0. So that would be my answer. Now let's take a look at another one. Here, it says negative 6, so I'm going to go ahead and put 6 negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see if we can make a little bit more room. 5, one more, 6. So we have 6 negatives, and we're going to add 5, so that's basically positive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice I tried my best to kind of line them up. Why? Because then I can easily see how many 0 pairs there are. So here I can see there's 1 0 pair there. Oops, it went away. Let's try that again. There's 1 0 pair there, 1 0 pair there, 1 there, 1 there, 1 there. So total I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 0 pairs, which left me with a sum of just a negative 1. So I'm going to write a negative 1. So please note that you will be graded for this as well, so you want to make sure you're doing that correctly. Okay, so moving back to the lesson. So how about with a number line? What do we do then? Well, let's see. Here, I'm going to start with a number line. First, it's important that we understand we always start with 0 because that's the origin. Okay. Notice I moved 3 to the right. Why? Because I'm starting with 3. Okay. This is a positive 3, so I went to the right. Now, plus, that means we're going to go ahead and go forward in a positive direction. Okay. But you see this negative here. This negative tells us we need to go in the opposite direction. So instead of continuing on to the right, because of this negative, I need to now go to the opposite direction, 6. So from here, I'm going to go 6 in the opposite direction, which would be the left. And that would leave me with negative 3. Okay, so my final answer would be negative 3. Guess what? That was our answer from the previous model. It's still the same answer now. So what you're going to find is no matter what method you use, you should still end up with the same answer. Now explain. Where are the 0 pairs located on a number line? Well, it's basically where these 2 lines overlap. So right here. So you can even count how many 0 pairs were there. There was 1, 2, 3 of them. Okay, so again, your 0 pairs are located in the overlap of the 2 lines. Now, real quickly, just in case you're struggling on your homework, I do want to show what it's going to look like on your homework assignment. So here on your homework, it says adjust the number line below to represent the expression negative 5 plus 4. Number 1, drag the lower slider. That means the bottom one, not the top. The lower slider to represent the first number, the add-in. Then drag the top slider to represent the result of the expression. So let's first start with that. So notice they did tell us to start with the first, the slider at the bottom. So here I'm going to go to -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice the top slider moves along with it. Now from there we're going to go ahead and move forward 4. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So now our answer, we ended up right here. So I would say my answer is -1. But they're going to ask how many 0 pairs are there. So again, what are 0 pairs? How do we find them on a number line? Well, it's basically the overlap. Okay, so this is where it overlaps. So we want to count how far it went. It went 1, 2, 3, 4. So I would say that the number of 0 pairs is 4. Okay, now please understand, sometimes there's no overlap. That means there are 0 pairs. So please remember that. Okay, so going back to number 2 on the keynote, here we're going to first start with symbols. First we're going to start with 12 positive symbols, and then we're going to go ahead and add in 4 negative symbols. Okay, now from here we're going to recognize our 0 pairs. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, which leaves us with a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 positives. So my answer is going to be 8. Okay, why? Well, because I noticed there's 8 more positives than there were negatives. That's how much was left. And once again, please note that these 0 pairs can be referred to as additive inverses, right? They're positives and negatives, and their sum is 0. So by definition, they are additive inverses. Now let's check out a number line. Okay, first we're going to start at the origin, and we're going to go all the way to 12. This plus tells me I'm going to go forward, but this negative sign says nope, now we're going to go in the opposite direction, which means instead of going forward, I have to go backwards 4. So moving it 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm going to end up here. So where does that leave me with? Well, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So my answer is going to be 8. So once again, plus means we're going to go ahead and move forward. But if you see a negative, that means, nope, you need to go in the opposite direction. So I was originally going forward, but because of this negative, I had to switch my direction and go left instead. So I had to go backwards. So again, how many 0 pairs are there on this number line? Again, you're going to look for the overlap. So here's my overlap. How far was the overlap? Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I would say there were 4 0 pairs. Now for number 3, go ahead and pause the video and try this one by yourself. Go ahead and create a model using these symbols. Okay, so hopefully the first thing you did was understand that there's 3 negatives, so you start with 3 negatives, and then you're going to go ahead and add 9 negatives. Now notice here there are no 0 pairs, none at all. So at that point, you're just going to go ahead and compare. Do we have more positives? Do we have more negatives? I'm definitely going to say we have more negatives. In fact, we have 12 more negatives than we have positives. Why 12? Because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 total. And there's absolutely 0 positives. So I definitely have 12 more negatives than there are positives. So the answer is -12. But again, what about a number line? Well, let's see. First, starting at 0, because that's your origin, I'm going to go ahead and move to the left 3. Why? Because we're going towards -3. Now here, we're going to go ahead and add. Okay, we're going forward. That means add means forward. I'm going to go ahead and go forward, but wait, it's making us go the opposite. So instead of going forward, I need to go the opposite direction and go the opposite direction 9 times. So here, originally, since it was plus, I was going to intend to move forward, but because it's negative, I now need to move to the left. 9. So if you move 9 to the left, you're going to find yourself at -12. Okay? So my answer is -12. But real quick, how many 0 pairs were located on this number line? Let's remember, 0 pairs are located when there's an overlap. Was there any overlap with these 2 lines? The answer is no. So guess what? There are 0 pairs. So for number 4, first thing we're going to do is go with symbols. 6 negatives for -6, and then we're going to go ahead and add 6 positives. Now here, I definitely see some zero pairs that I'm going to cancel out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And wait, I notice I'm left with nothing now. So what is my answer? Well, first let's recognize that these are considered additive pairs as well. But then you have to notice that, hey, there's an equal amount of positives and negatives, so our answer is 0. Now let's try it on a number line. So here, starting at the origin, which is 0, we're going to go ahead and move to -6. We're going to go ahead and add, which means I'm going to go forward. And then because it's just a 6, that means I can go ahead and continue to go forward. It's not telling me to do the opposite direction. So we're going to go ahead and move 6 forward, which takes us back to 0, which is good because isn't that the answer we got when we use these symbols? Yeah, you're going to notice you should end up with the same answer no matter what. So the explanation of how many zero pairs are there? Well, again, the zero pairs are the overlap in the line. So notice these lines are overlapping. So I'm just going to count how far they overlapped. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I would say there were 6 zero pairs on the number line. For each of the following problems, find the sum to each by using symbols. Explain how you came to that conclusion. B, using a number line to find the sum. Explain how you came to that. So here, for number 5, we were asked to first use symbols. So I'm going to go ahead and add 11 positives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Then I'm going to go ahead and add 4 negatives. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice I tried to align them right underneath each other. Why, you might ask? Because then I can easily see them as zero pairs. So let's go ahead and count. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 zero pairs, leaving me with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 positive. So my answer would be a positive 7. Now what about a number line? Well, let's see. First, we're going to have to start at 0 because that's our origin. We're going to go ahead and move to 11. So I'm going to go ahead and move up to 11, which is right there. But then now we're going to add, meaning I'm going to go forward. But wait, there's this negative there, which means I got to turn the direction. Instead of going forward, I'm going to go down, which is for negative. So here, what I'm going to do is start at this point and go down to 4. Not to 4, but go down 4 of the increments. 1, 2, 3, 4, which leaves me right there. So what number is this? Well, here's 5, 6, and here's 7. So my answer is 7. So to answer the question, I'm going to say the sum of 11 and -4 is positive 7. Now, do you have to type in a positive 7 into your homework? No. But I just want you to see that it's a positive, not a negative. Let's try this one. So this one's different because your number line is once again horizontal, but same idea. So here, using the symbol model, I'm going to go ahead and put 3 negatives, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to add 14 positives. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Now, what's nice is I do notice some zero pairs. There's 1, 2, 3, leaving me with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So my answer is positive 11. But let's just check our work and see if that's going to be true with the number line as well. Starting at 0, we're first going to move to -3. So 1, 2, 3, which is right here. But then from there, we're going to add, meaning I'm going to now go forward. Notice it's not negative, so I can continue to move forward, but 14 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So this is where I end up. So what is my answer? Oh, look, my answer is still 11. But again, once again, you're going to notice here there's an overlap of 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. So I would consider these 3 zero pairs. So no matter what, you're going to find yourself with the same answer, no matter which method you use. So the sum of -3 and 14 is 11. Okay, so now at this stage, I want you to try number 7 all by yourself. Okay, so let's see how well we did. First, using symbols, we're going to put in 17 negatives. That's a lot, I know, but let's bear with it and just go. Negative 17. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Now I have to add 3 positives. So 1, 2, 3. Once again, you'll notice I aligned them nicely because I know they're going to create 0 pairs. 1, 2, 3. Now what am I left with? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 negatives. So that's going to be a negative 14. So here I can even say, look, I noticed there's 17 more negatives than there were positives. But what about a number line? Well, once again, starting at the origin, you're going to first go to negative 17. So we're just going to draw our line all the way to negative 17. So here's 15, 16, 17. So this is where we're at. Now we're going to add. Add means I'm going to go forward, but in this case I'm going to move up. And since there's no negatives, that means I can continue to move up 3 spots. So here I'm going to go ahead and move up 3. So 1, 2, 3, which leaves me right here, which I would call a negative 14. So voila, notice I get the same answer whether I'm using symbols or a number line. And again, here you see your 3 0 pairs. How do you see it on a number line? It's where they overlap. You're going to see it 1, 2, 3. So here I would say the sum of negative 17 and 3 is negative 14. Okay, once again, I want you to go ahead and pause the video and try number 8 by yourself. Okay, so first starting with the symbol, let's go ahead and draw in our symbols. We have 8 negatives. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to add 15 positives, so let's go ahead and add that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now here we're going to cancel out our 0 pairs because they make zeros. There's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, leaving me with a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 positives. Okay, so let's see if we get the same solution with a number line. Starting at 0, we're going to move to negative 8. So here's 5, 6, 7, 8. So here's negative 8. But now we're going to add, meaning we're going to go move forward, 15. So from there, we're going to go move 15. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So where did that leave me? Well, here's 5, 6, there's 7. So notice our answer is still the same. And again, you'll still even notice that the amount of 0 pairs is the same in both models. Here there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and here there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 0 pairs as well. So here, to answer the question, I would say the sum of negative 8 and 15 is 7. So guess what? That concludes the lesson for today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and as always, until next time, bye!